Good morning, students. Welcome to the digital classroom with Holy Heart Schools. Today, we are going to start with our chapter, the Geographic Grid, Latitudes and Longitudes. In this chapter, we will be learning about the concepts of latitude, longitude, and the network formed by their intersection known as grid. While going through above topic, we will be learning some new words. Number 1. Satellite. An artificial body placed in orbit round the Earth or Moon or on another planet in order to collect information. Number 2. Grid. Network of latitudes and longitudes. Number 3. Axis. Imaginary line on which Earth rotates. Number 4. Hemisphere. Half of the sphere. Number 5. The northern hemisphere, the part of the earth above the equator. Number 6. Southern hemisphere, the part of the earth below the equator. Number 7. Latitudes. Latitudes are defined as an angular distance of a place north or south of the equator. It can also be defined as imaginary horizontal lines running from east to west across the globe. Last, we have longitudes. These are the imaginary vertical lines that run north to south across the globe. Now students, please open your chapter number 2 on page number 14. Before we start with our today's topic, let's have a brief about this topic. We all know that Earth is spherical in shape. And the most convincing and confirmed proof of the Earth shape are the photographs taken by orbiting satellites. But if we take the actual measurement of the Earth, it revealed that Earth is not perfect sphere. It has been found that Earth is slightly bulging at the equator and slightly flattened at the poles. So the shape of the Earth is called oblate spheroid. The polar diameter of the Earth is about 12,714 kilometers, while the equatorial diameter is about 12,756 kilometers. The difference between the two is only about 42 kilometers. This is of no significance. Thus, the Earth is taken as spherical in shape for all the practical purposes. Now students, let's start with our reading. The most convincing means capable to make someone believe. Proof about the shape of the earth has been given by a picture taken from a space by the astronaut. Astronaut is the person who is trained to travel in spacecraft and orbiting satellites. Satellites are the celestial or artificial bodies that revolve around the planet. The actual measurement proved that the earth is not perfect sphere, as its equatorial diameter is bigger than its polar diameter. I have just now told you that the difference between the two is just about 42 kilometers. However, this difference is so small that for all the practical purposes, we consider the shape of the earth as a sphere. Sphere means bulge from the center and flat from the top and bottom. Now students, we all know that Earth is the largest of the inner planets. It is made up of continents and oceans. The Earth is so big in size that it was difficult to tell the location of any place on the Earth. So, a Greek philosopher and mathematician, Eratosthenes, came up with the concept of latitudes and longitudes. We all know that Earth rotates on its own axis. Now, the spinning of the earth on its own axis provides us with two naturally fixed points known as North Pole and South Pole. Now, these 2 points can be taken as a reference point for locating a place. Along with them, we get another valuable reference, that is equator, that lies perpendicular to the axis of the earth. The equator divides the earth into two equal halves, that is northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. So now let's read. We need some system for locating places accurately. Accurately means exact. The simplest way to design the two sets of lines that intersect at right angle. Intersect means cutting each other. Such a network of vertical and horizontal line is referred to as grid system. On globe, these horizontal lines are known as latitude and these vertical lines are known as longitudes. And where they cut each other, there a grid is formed. In order to know the location and direction of the place on Earth's surface, we have to develop some technique. We know that Earth rotates on its own axis. Axis is an imaginary line on which Earth rotates, and the endpoints of this imaginary axis are called North Pole and South Pole. That is 90° north and 90° south. The poles are taken as a fixed points on the surface of the Earth and can be used as reference. Reference means to use as a source of information points for the developing a system for locating places on the Earth. The poles are the naturally given two fixed points on the Earth's surface that help us to locate a place on the Earth. If we visualize a plane means a flat surface on which a straight line joining two points would lie. Passing through the Earth halfway between North Pole and South Pole, a perpendicular means forming an angle of 90° to the axis of the Earth, we get another valuable reference, that is equator. The equator is taken as a starting line and thus marked as 0° latitude. The angular distance of a place from the equator help us to know its location. It also divides the Earth into two equal halves, that is northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. So let's read. It divides the Earth into two equal parts or hemispheres. Hemisphere means half of the sphere. The part of the Earth which is towards the north of the equator is called northern hemisphere, and the other portion which is towards the south of the equator is called southern hemisphere. Now we have the following references for describing and measuring any location on the surface of the Earth: the axis of the Earth, the South Pole, the North Pole and the equator. Now if we have a glance at the globe, it will show a series of north-south and east-west lines, and together they make up the Earth's grid system. These lines are used to find the exact location of a place on the Earth. The north-south lines are known as meridians of longitude, and the imaginary horizontal lines running from east to west across the globe are known as latitudes. All latitudes are parallel lines, therefore they are also known as parallels of latitudes. So now let's read the parallels and the meridians. Every globe has two sets of circles. In one set, the circles run from east to west. They are all parallel to the equator. These are called parallels. They are also known as latitudes. One more reason that they are called parallels because they never intersect each other. In the second set, the lines run from north to south. They also pass through North Pole and South Pole. This line between the North Pole and the South Pole is called meridians. They are also known as longitudes, and these longitudes form the semicircles. These parallels and meridians can be used to define the location and direction of any place on the globe. The parallels and meridians intersect each other at right angle. The network of parallels and meridians on the globe is called Earth's grid or geographic grid. Now here I want to give you one example, that if somebody asks us about the location of India, we answer that India lies from 8° north to 37° north and 68° east to 97° east. With this we come to know that India lies in northern and eastern hemisphere, and the grid formed by these latitudes and longitudes help us to know the exact location of a place, that is India. In the similar manner, we can find the location of any place on the globe with the help of these latitudes and longitudes. Now next we are starting up with the concept of latitudes. Latitudes can be defined as imaginary horizontal lines running from east to west across the globe, or as an angular distance of a place north or south of the equator. The latitudes are always measured in degrees. The equator is taken as a starting point, so it is marked as 0° latitude. It is also known as a great circle because it forms the largest circle among all the latitudes. Total we have 181 latitudes, 90 in the northern hemisphere and 90 in the southern hemisphere, and one is equator, so total is 181. All the latitudes are not drawn on a globe for a practical purpose, because if we draw all the lines on a map or a globe, it would appear very crowded. So we mark 7 important latitudes: equator 0°, Tropic of Cancer 23.5° north, Tropic of Capricorn 23.5° south, Arctic Circle 66.5° north, Antarctic Circle 66.5° south, North Pole 90° north, and South Pole 90° south. So now let's read. The parallels are identified by the latitudes, which is an indicator of how far north or south of the equator a parallel is situated. Latitudes is defined as an angular distance of a place north and south of the equator, measured as an angle whose apex means baseline is the center of the earth, that is equator. Like any other angular measurement, the latitude is measured in degrees, minutes and seconds, that I have already told before. There are 360 degrees in a circle, 60 minutes in a degree and 60 seconds in a minute. The equator is taken as a starting line and thus marked as 0° latitude. This we have already discussed beforehand. The distance between the equator and the North Pole is 1/4 of the circle. Now here the question arises, how 1/4? We know that poles are located at 90° from the equator and Earth represents 360°. So 360° divided by 90° equals to 4. It means that pole is 1/4 of a circle. Thus, the latitude of North Pole is 90° north and that of South Pole is 90° south. An imaginary line connecting all the points on the same latitude are called lines of latitude or a parallel. The equator at 0° is the largest parallel. Therefore, it is also known as the Great Circle. If all the parallels are drawn at the interval of 1° of latitude, there will be 90 parallels in the northern hemisphere and 90 parallels in the southern hemisphere. This we have already discussed in the starting of this topic. Thus, including the equator, there will be a total of 181 parallels drawn on the earth. Although it is possible to draw an unlimited number of parallels according to our need on the globe, but the 7 parallels shown in figure 2.7 are of great significance. Significance means importance in the general study of the earth. The inclination means this degree of sloping of the earth axis has helped us in marking of these parallels. They are equator 0°, Tropic of Cancer 23.5° north, Tropic of Capricorn 23.5° south, Arctic Circle 66.5° north, Antarctic Circle 66.5° south, North Pole 90° north and South Pole 90° south. Now next we are starting up with the characteristic features of the parallels. All the parallels form the complete circles except 90° north and south, which are only points. Equator is the largest among all the parallels, hence also known as Great Circle. The size of the latitude decreases as we move away from the equator towards the pole. The distance between two latitudes is always same, that is of 111 kilometers. Now how this 111 kilometers? If we divide the total circumference of the earth, that is 40,000, with 360°, we get 111 kilometers approx. Now if I talk about the importance of these latitudes are very important in relation to the temperature on the surface of the earth. We all know that Earth is spherical in shape. So the different parts of the Earth receive different amount of sunlight, and based on that the Earth is divided into three main heat zones: torrid zone, temperate zone and frigid zone. So now let's read. The parallels or the lines of latitude have the following characteristic. All the parallels are complete circle except 90° north and 90° south, which are only points. Equator is the largest parallel and the length of other parallel decrease as one moves away from the equator towards the pole. This we have just seen in an image. All the parallels are located at an equal distance from each other, that is 111 km. The length of the degree of latitude along a meridian on the surface of the earth is about 111 km. In a simple language, the distance between the two consecutive latitudes is of 111 kilometers. Some important parallels help in dividing the earth roughly into three heat zones depending upon the amount of sunlight received by that particular area. The torrid zone, which extends from 23.5° north to 23.5° south. The temperate zone, which extends from 23.5° north to 66.5° north and 23.5° south to 66.5° south. And frigid zone, that extends from 66.5° north to 90° north and 66.5° south to 90° south. The equator is the only great circle while others are the small circles. The places which are to the north of the equator in the north latitudes, while the places which are to the south of the equator are in the south latitudes. The places which are located near the equator are in the low latitudes, while those located near the poles are in the high latitudes. So now students, this was our topic for the day. Please revise the topic and try to do this related question answers. Thank you.